in the TARDIS. Next stop everywhere.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. I'm Charles Skaggs. With me in the TARDIS today is not only, I should just say, is the usual or the previous format with Jesse Jackson, my partner in time. Unfortunately, Karen Lindsay is not able to join us, but Jesse and I are ready to talk about Doctor Who with you guys, and we will be missing Karen in the meantime. Is that right, Jesse?
Yes, we will. And yes, I can think you say only Jesse. I don't think that as in a worm of only Jesse, as in...
Yeah, I don't want to give the impression like, oh, it's just Jesse.
No. I totally understand. Let's face it, Karen's the star of the show anyway.
Well,
so.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've accepted my role as the non-star. So
yeah.
All right. You two always outshine me, so I just try to keep up as best I can.
You are the you're saying you're the general brother. You're the engineer.
I'm the comic relief.
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to tie into the episode with the general's little brother.
Oh, look what you did there. You were much more clever than I am today. Mm-hmm. All right. So yes, today here with episode 123, we're going to talk about the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Okay, so I have to start out saying,
yeah,
Doctor Who, you're killing me. Just so you know, we divide the duties of this job, dear listeners, in a fairly, I think, fair way. Charles tends to drive the bus. He sets the agenda. He has the topics. He kind of steers the conversation. So he has to do a lot of pre-show prep work.
That's right. My copious notes.
So afterwards, if Karen is here, she records a copy because she has a soundboard. But if she doesn't, we record it through this software, and then I edit the podcast together. And one of my jobs is to name the file that we have to send, and we name it the title of the episode. And I'm like, Doctor Who, can we just, like, Titans, Origins, Doom Patrol, very easy.
Something very simple.
Yes.
Well, tell you what. Tell you what, Jesse.
Yes.
Take your best shot, and then I'll go into our Dropbox folder and I'll edit the name if we need to.
All right, I appreciate that, Charles.
Is that fair? Because I don't want to make you look bad in front of Rob, our editor.
So. Just so you know, the lovely Linda Jackson, who is quickly becoming a massive Who fan, she watched the episode live with me Sunday night. She wanted to know, is Doctor Who always this positive? Is it always such a hopeful message? Or is it just because of the current culture? And I'm like, nope. That's one of the beauties about this show, is they've always strived for, understanding and positivity. And so she just, the more and more she watches this, the more she adores Jodie Whittaker. She loves all the friends and companions. She laughs at all the jokes. I mean, and she really liked, because this weekend we caught up, she had not seen the Spider episode.
Yeah, Arachnids in the UK.
Yeah, and she was like, That was really good. That wasn't near as creepy as I thought it was going to be. It was good. And she loved the Trump kind of guy that,
Right.
Chris North did. And she did. Yeah. Last night we were like, well, she goes, well, let's go ahead and watch it. I thought Doctor Who came on at 8 o'clock in Central Time. I'm like, no, it comes on at 7. Well, let's watch it. So she watched it live with me.
So you have to be the happiest man on the planet right now.
I am. I'm just ecstatic, and that's why.
Because now you can finally share Doctor Who with your wife.
Yes, and that's why I am amazed, and I'll get off my soapbox in a minute, when so-called Whovians complain about this new Doctor and this series.
Yeah.
I honestly look and like, I don't understand you. I don't understand. I mean, that's one. I read a couple places they did not enjoy this episode we're going to discuss about.
Right.
It's okay if you're like, this was a weaker episode or something. But to say, I just don't get it. You must have a bias.
Right. You're already looking for something to hate.
Yes.
And I think right now, even the Doctor Who is, like you said, has always been positive, but unfortunately, a lot of the fans out there are less so.
Yes, absolutely.
And as a result, this divide right now.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping things will change, and people will come around.
Yeah.
Here's hoping.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, yeah. So let's get into our discussion.
Absolutely, Charles.
All right. But that's awesome that Linda's enjoying the show. I'm really glad for you for that.
Yeah.
And glad for her because hey, it's always great to have a new fan. As we were hoping when Jodie Whittaker took over that we would get some new fans. So,
and I think we are. Yeah.
I think so too. All right. So we're talking to the Tsuranga Conundrum. The T is silent. And this, of course, is written again by Chris Chibnall, who's written the first 4 and now the 5th episodes of Series 11. Directed by Jennifer Perot or Parrott. I'm thinking aired on November 4th, 2018, just yesterday. So how about that for a quick turnaround, kids? And I'm curious about your thoughts about this one. Because I know some people have been kind of getting a little fed up with the way Chibnall writes Doctor Who. And I want to talk about that a little bit.
Okay.
But I want to get your thoughts on what you thought of this particular episode. So general thoughts on this one real quick before we get into anything else.
So I'm going to say this, and this could be viewed as negative, and I don't mean it that way.
Right.
It was just an episode of Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
And,
a classic.
Yeah, it wasn't a classic. It was just an average episode of Doctor Who. Right. I mean, it had it had some good moments. It had some stuff. Linda and I both laughed out loud.
Right.
I thought the ending was very beautiful. And, but, I was like, it's a, if we were doing ratings, early, and I will save my number rating, but I go, it's a solid C story. It's passable. It's a good episode, but not a great episode.
Yeah. And obviously we're not trying to be apologists here.
Yeah.
And, we're not trying to excuse everything. It's just, we're going to call it the way we see it. If we liked it, we liked it. If we thought it was it was
Yeah.
And if we think it's horrible, we're going to tell you that we think it's horrible.
Right.
Neither of us is really shy about our opinions. Neither is Karen.
Absolutely. And it is really to do, whether it's 10 episodes, 15 episodes, 22 episodes, it is hard to make every episode a home run, to mix our baseball metaphors, right?
Yes.
And they try to do that every time. I'm sure, and there are stories they want to tell. I think there was some weakness in the stories that I think that they may have needed a little polish,
Yes.
like some more character development, maybe.
Right.
Maybe a little more if they were trying to talk about family with the general, the brother, and the android. That did not sync as well as they did with the pregnant guy being a father and
Right.
with Ryan and his father. But the other, like I said, I think it could have used another polish to try to develop the characters. But you got a new monster. It was a fun monster that looked cute yet was dangerous. You get a spaceship. It was a perfectly good Doctor Who episode. What did you think?
All right. So my take on this is that we've talked about when we were doing our Chris Chibnall retrospective, was that Chris Chibnall was not exactly the greatest Doctor Who writer ever.
Right.
We acknowledge that none of his stories were particularly outstanding. They weren't horrible. They just weren't outstanding.
Right.
And I think this episode is probably along those lines. I think Chibnall, he may be good at trying to get the pieces together, but I think as a writer, I think there are some times that he may be a little lacking or just not as talented as, say, Russell T Davies or Stephen Moffat. And this is probably one of those cases that just this story idea. I agree. I think it was probably a little underdeveloped as a story, and there was some good ideas in here, but I think the execution could have been better. And I think I'm curious to see what happens now that after this episode, we get into other writers and see what they bring to the table, compared to Chibnall. And because Chibnall's not going to be writing another episode for Series 11 until the season finale, the 10th episode.
And Charles, years ago, another lifetime, I worked for a food company. We sold restaurants. We sold restaurant foods. And one of the guys mentioned that the other salespeople that I worked with said, McDonald's is consistently mediocre.
Right.
He said you can go to any McDonald's anywhere in the United States, and you're going to get a consistent mediocre meal.
You know what you're in for.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah. Yes. And so you're not going to be surprised, but you're also not going to be hugely disappointed.
Right.
And I think to a certain degree, Chibnall is a little bit of that.
Yeah.
You know what you're going to get. And I am hoping, because this is the first year they have had a true writer's room, that when we get the rest of these episodes, we've got another, 5 or 6 to come, right? I hope we get a little bit better, shooting for the stars.
We should. We would hope that the show would get better as the season progressed.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I'm very curious to see what the other writers bring to the table.
Absolutely.
And I'm willing to be patient.
Yeah.
Because let's keep this in perspective, everybody. This is only Chibnall's 5th episode ever.
Yeah.
Now, granted, Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat may have had a stronger outing.
Mm-hmm.
But let's see what some of the other writers bring to the table before just writing off the entire season. Okay?
Absolutely.
All right. And plus, we do have a great Doctor with Jodie Whittaker.
Oh, yes.
And, some very interestingly developing companions. And I know some people have had some problems with the companions. But I think that once we get to know them better, hopefully more people will come to appreciate them. So
Absolutely.
right.
So
and again, I'm not trying to be apologist here.
no, I think
I'm just
you were
trying
very
to
fair.
I'm just trying to play both sides of the aisle here.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right.
So Charles,
Yes.
before we get to
Yeah.
the patented Charles Skaggs 3 points,
Yes.
how about any special guest cast?
Well, and this might be part of the problem with the episode, is that there wasn't any exceptional cast members as far as they've done a lot of British television,
Yeah.
and British projects, but really the only actor that American audiences would know, I would think, would be David Shields, who plays Ronan, the android assistant, and he was in The Crown, the Netflix series The Crown, starring Matt Smith.
Yes.
11th Doctor Matt Smith. But we did get some other actors. Brett Goldstein as Astos, who seemed like a very promising character until he ended up getting killed off early.
Yeah.
Doc Brown, and I think this is funny. There's an actual actor who goes by the handle Doc Brown, like Doc Brown in Back to the Future.
That is funny.
Although his real name is Ben Bailey Smith. He played Eve Cicero, and Suzanne Packer played his sister, Eve Cicero. And then we had Lois Chimimba, and she played Mabley. And we had Jack Shalhoub, who played the pregnant man Yas. So
okay,
that's basically our guest cast. Again, they're a lot known for a lot of British soap operas or British dramas that I'm just passing over because American audiences would not be as familiar. And I hate to say that we're American podcast, but we're more American geared podcast.
Absolutely.
All right. So please, be patient with us in that regard,
yes.
UK fans. All right.
Yes, and we will give you at the end of the end of the episode how to reach us. And if one of these guys or gals was someone you adore, we promise to read your email and
feel free to let us know how stupid we are, or
absolutely.
how naive we are for overlooking this particular favorite actor of yours.
Absolutely.
All right. So first topic I want to talk about, and the theme should be rather obvious because of a certain biographical movie that came out this past weekend.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So topic number 1. Under Pressure. Dun, 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 dun.
I love that song.
Dun, 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 dun. So this is the Doctor and the Pating. And I want to get your thoughts on the Doctor, Jesse, who is scrambling pretty hard in this one. She's separated from the TARDIS, and then the sonic mine goes off, and she and her gang end up in the hospital. And the hospital turns out to be a transport ship that takes them off into space, separating them even further from the TARDIS. And so while she's desperate to get back, all kinds of things go a little haywire because the Pating shows up and threatens the very safety of the ship they're on. So I want to get your thoughts on Jodie Whittaker in this episode and the 2018 version of the adipose in the Pating.
I saw someone else talk about that, and yes, it certainly does remind you of that.
Or you could say the 2018 version of Stitch from Lilo and Stitch.
Yes.
Or Nibbler from Futurama.
Yeah. The Pating was fun, and once again, I'm going to talk about this because, Linda said, and the alien wasn't even evil. He was just hungry.
Yeah.
And I love the fact.
Kind of like with the spiders who were just doing their thing.
Yeah.
So
I thought, you know what?
So you think Chibnall kind of favors these, the monsters that aren't really evil, apparently.
Well, we've at least seen a couple. Now, during the very first episode, the woman who flew fell to Earth,
Yeah.
that was a true evil.
Right, the hunter.
The hunter guy was absolutely evil.
From the stanza.
But at least these two creatures, they've not been. And that might be one of the reasons that's a weakness, is we just had a
something
monster
similar.
Similar. I love watching Jodie Whittaker be the Doctor.
Yeah.
I love Capaldi being the Doctor, and go on back to Matt Smith, David Tennant, Chris Eccleston, right?
Right. You could keep going if you want.
Yeah. Because she's running a lot, and she's trying to figure things out, and she's using her mind, and and she looks so shocked when they eat her sonic screwdriver, and
so let's talk about that for quick for a moment. So the Ting ends up eating the sonic screwdriver, effectively taking the sonic screwdriver off the table so that the Doctor can't just wave her magic wand and make everything better. Right. And so now she got the sonic screwdriver back, but it wasn't quite working properly.
Exactly.
So she didn't lose it. It was rendered inoperable, I guess. Yes. So what did you think about that moment and her reaction to that? That she just was like horrified.
So there is for a while, Linda's mom was living with up in Dallas. This was after Linda's dad had died, and she would stay with Linda's sister or Linda, and her name was Margaret. And Margaret, just a sweet, lovely woman. And at the time, we had a beagle named Ranger, and Margaret had a sandwich in her hand, and she dropped it down to her waist as she was walking, and Ranger jumped up, took the sandwich out of her hand, and Margaret just had the look on her face like, what is the world? And of course, Linda had a fit that the dog took the sandwich out of her mom's hand.
Yes.
But Margaret's
mortified,
probably. Margaret's face is what Jodie Whittaker had. Like, what?
Yes.
I can't believe you've done
this. Yes.
Yeah, that was just hilarious. I did, in the back of my mind, go, okay, that's a clever way to, if there is a point where the screwdriver could be the magic wand, they've gotten it out of the way, which is good to see, right?
Right. Well, yeah, because it makes the Doctor have to scramble harder.
Yes.
And it makes the Doctor have to rely more on her wits to get them out of the situation.
Yes.
And that's why there's been a lot of arguments like, well, is the Doctor better off without a sonic screwdriver?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm of the camp that I like to see the Doctor every so often without a sonic screwdriver, because it does become kind of a crutch for writers.
Yes, it is.
And you don't want to. The more difficult things are for the Doctor, usually the more interesting the episode becomes. So
absolutely. But
that's my take anyway.
No, I thought that was great. I thought that her trying to figure out everything that was going on.
Right.
Okay, got it. We're in a med ship. Oh, it's the only two, there's only two crew members. I was a little worried at first that she kept holding her side.
Yeah.
And I thought that was going to lead to something later.
Right.
But
I kind of wondered that too, that like maybe the healing process wasn't working like it should have, because she seemed to be much more effective than the others.
Yes.
Which I thought was unusual, because you would think the Doctor with her alien physiognomy would be more resilient than the others.
And when they were first there and they were talking to the two technicians,
Yeah.
I was expecting them to say, "Hey, wait a minute, you have two hearts," or to make some kind of comment about that.
Yeah.
And they
Or
didn't.
or just because she's a Time Lord,
Right.
that's why that she's more susceptible. Some kind of offhand
Yes.
explanation would have been nice, I think.
Yeah.
It just seemed a little odd to me that only the Doctor seems to be really bothered by that injury.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah.
I did like
Now
the fact.
oh,
Go ahead.
go ahead.
No, I did like the fact that I just got my TARDIS back. Like this panic, like no, no, no.
Well, yeah, you would think the Doctor would be better at holding onto the TARDIS by now.
Yes, exactly.
Here, as the her 14th incarnation, you think she would be a little more adept at holding on to it, but
Yes.
Or at least, hey, why not invent a remote control so that if it disappears, you can bring it to wherever you are?
Yes.
Just a thought, but I guess that's
Absolutely.
too. I guess again, that's makes things far too easy for the Doctor, I guess.
Yes.
Now, one thing I did like was that scene toward the end where the Doctor is with Yaz, and they get to the antimatter drive,
Mm-hmm.
and the Doctor is just enraptured by the design of the antimatter drive.
Yes.
And it was kind of nice to see the Doctor actually geeking out over something like that.
Yeah, I need to spend more time. And I did love the way she just said, "We're time travelers."
Yeah.
That was really, really nice. But
And she and Yaz were both kind of like gave a little shout out to CERN, the particle accelerator on Earth,
yes.
which I thought was which actually turned up, if I recall correctly, in that three-parter from Peter Capaldi's final season.
Mm-hmm.
With the the lie of the land, that whole storyline.
Yes.
And that it was just kind of nice to get that, I thought.
I agree.
All right. Anything else about the 13th Doctor or the Pating?
No.
Yep. Were you happy to see the Patings shunted out into space?
Yes, I was. And it kind of looked, like with a full belly, and
Right.
so that way you're like, okay, we're, we could see this. Again, I did love the kind of encyclopedia talking about, you know, don't stay away. Do not, all the
Right.
things that's
Yeah,
wrong
yeah.
with this.
Yeah, it just said, never touch a Pating directly, and their skin is toxic to most life forms. We get this little rundown about the Pating.
Yeah.
So I thought that was pretty good. It talks about that they're while they're non-carnivorous, they devour all non-organic materials and move at great speed. Yada
Yeah.
yada. The one thing I thought was a funny moment. Yaz didn't really get much to do in this episode again.
Yeah. Now it appears.
But there was that moment that I loved where she essentially gets handed off the Pating, who gets wrapped up in this blanket.
Yes.
And then she kind of like drop kicks the Pating down the corridor to get it far away from the antimatter as possible. And just this kind of like boots him, and he bounces off the ceiling in a thing I called on Twitter Pating Patong.
Ha ha ha! Very nice.
A nice game of Pating Patong. She just invented that. But and then she, like, immediately after she boots him down the corridor, she runs back to the room, the antimatter room, and I just thought that was a funny moment.
I agree.
All right. So let's move on to topic number 2. Who wants to live forever? And that's another Queen song. So surprise, I'm doing Queen songs.
Yes.
And which was also in Highlander. If you're a Highlander buff, you should probably catch that song. The Christopher Lambert movie.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, I want to talk about Eve Cicero and his sister Eve, and Ronan in this segment. So what did you think of these 3 characters.
They were the least defined, developed characters.
Right.
I
think Ronan was a little bit.
Yeah.
Because he's the android, so he's going to be more interesting.
But I didn't, they called him the consort. I didn't get what they were trying to do.
He was a general, as it turns out.
Yeah.
And apparently that she was there because she has a condition, a heart condition that we're told is called pilot's heart. And she's keeping this from her brother, that apparently she's very weak and it wouldn't take much to really kill her. So, of course, she ends up sacrificing herself to help save everyone and pilot them through this asteroid field, I believe.
Yeah,
But it did seem a little hollow because
yes.
we didn't really get care should have.
Yeah, I didn't really care. The whole pilot's disease.
Yeah.
There's no, I guess because of the way she's explaining it, it means it's a bad disease, and I guess we assumed when she kind of jury-rigged the engineer brother and jury-rigged the controls, that means she's going to end up sacrificing herself. That subplot needed another round in the writer's room.
Right.
To
flesh out the characters.
Yes, absolutely. And I mean, they were perfectly fine, but they were they're lukewarm French fries. If I continue my McDonald's, analogy.
I'm getting the feeling you're hungry because you keep bringing up food metaphors.
It might be.
Have you had dinner yet?
No, but when you go to McDonald's, even though fries are, if you get them right out of the fryer and they're just the right amount of salt, But
Yep.
these are just, they weren't cold.
They've been kind of left around for a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit too much. And so, because, what was the purpose of the android? Why does the brother not like the android? Why would he?
Yeah, it seemed like there was some backstory there that maybe was either cut for time or just was never developed, I think.
Yeah, and so the doctor recognized.
So Ronan.
Yes.
His whole storyline that we're given is that once Eve dies, that apparently it's their custom to deactivate her android's assistant.
We didn't know enough about Ronan to care that he was going to, die or be disabled. In fact, at the end, I thought that the engineer brother was going to say, well, maybe you could be my assistant. And, and then you're like, oh, okay, well, they've become, we talked about family. Maybe they're going to make their own family. But they didn't do with that. So the other thing
all that happens is that the android Ronan ends up leading everybody in prayer.
Yes.
And that's kind of where we're left off, presumably with everything still going to happen. The Ronan being deactivated and the doctor and her gang presumably getting returned back to their TARDIS.
Yeah, they talked about they've already booked a teleport.
Yes.
They mentioned that, which I thought was a pretty good line to, kind of set that up. I did not write down the closing prayer. I hope you did.
I did.
Because it was really well done. I liked that a lot. I
did, so.
Yeah.
I got you back.
You always do, Charles.
I try.
But, did the only reason the doctor recognized she was a famous general is so that the general could say, oh, I thought I read a chapter about you too. And then the doctor, probably not. And then the doctor comes back and makes the joke, well, it was probably, a volume, not just a chapter.
Yeah. I think so. Yeah, what you're referring to is that they recognized each other's names from this whatever book of celebrants, whatever that is. Maybe it's like a Who's Who or something type book. Who's Who in time and space, I guess. And it's interesting that the Doctor, remember, Matt Smith's 11th Doctor went to a lot of trouble to basically erase the fact that he was kind of famous throughout the universe, remember?
Yes, I do.
And, that he'd gotten too big. And now here we have the 13th Doctor kind of becoming famous all over again.
Yes.
So, interesting change from what was established back during the Matt Smith era, I think.
Yes, but the Doctor has... we've always been a little wibbly-wobbly with continuity, so I'm okay with it. But yes, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, it just obviously depends on the showrunner about whether they want a famous Doctor or they don't.
Right.
Yeah. Obviously, Russell T. Davies liked a famous Doctor.
Yes.
And I guess we're kind of back to that with Chris Chibnall. So
I think so.
All right. Third and final topic, unless you had anything else.
Nope.
All right. Third and final topic. Let's see, what is it? Me somebody to love, find. Me somebody to love, find. So, somebody to love. And this is Ryan and Graham and Yas, the pregnant dude.
Yes.
Pregnant alien dude. And Yas was apparently a more fleshed out character.
Yes, he was.
In this a little bit. And Ryan kind of gets a little introspective about the idea of what his dad might have gone through because of Yas. So I want to get your thoughts on Ryan and Graham in this, and having to be relegated to pregnancy duty. That in a nice twist, that a lot of female characters usually end up stuck having to help deliver a baby in a lot of sci-fi shows or historical shows.
Yeah, a lot to like about this storyline. The idea that females have females, males have males. What do you mean? That's crazy.
As far as the Yas's alien race goes, yeah.
The idea got carried away, didn't use protection. Linda asked the question, how's he going to deliver?
Yeah.
and they explained that, so Linda was very happy with that.
Now, you notice that the Yas goes through like just a week-long pregnancy.
Yes.
Because, hey, guys, we're going to knock this out in a week. I don't know why you have to deal with this whole 9 months thing, right?
Yes, and the sonogram photos were very funny. Oh, there was day. Oh, there was 2 days.
Yep.
I like that, and once again, I know I keep quoting Linda, but just to show how she's engaged, she's like, Graham's trying. His grandpa's trying. Meet him halfway, Ryan.
Yeah. What you're talking about, I think, is when, after the delivery of Yas's baby, that Graham, once again, attempts the fist bump with Ryan. And once again, Ryan leaves him hanging.
Yes, he does.
And I'm like, dude, what are you doing?
Yes.
Throw him a freaking bone already. You don't have to be this way. And so, obviously, they're setting up probably at the end of the season that Graham will finally get that fist bump from Ryan.
Yes, I think so.
But by this point, you would think he would come around a little bit.
Yes.
Like even if he wasn't enthusiastic about it, he would just kind of turn his head and go bop.
Yeah.
Or something, by this point. So, Ryan, what's your deal, man? Get over yourself.
Yeah. But
your nan would be very upset with you right now.
And I love, once again, they brought up Nan.
Right.
What would Dan be saying? And Grace would be.
She'd be laughing at us.
Yeah.
us going through this, I think. That's
and
what they said. Yeah.
and I love that they keep bringing that up. As we talk about, Graham is working through his grief
Yes.
and staying busy. We didn't talk about it, but the whole junkyard and,
Right.
and Graham talking about, needle, haystack.
Yeah.
What
Yes.
are we looking for? And if we've been on the wrong planet for 4 hours.
Yeah, Graham is obviously Graham is all of us, because
Yes, he is.
he would be the one telling. He's the one telling the doctor, "Look, all right, you've got us sifting through all this junk, and if you're saying that like it's all been for nothing."
Yes.
And just ready to just giving the doctor the side eye, I think, which was good.
Yeah, I did.
Now Ryan talks to Yaz, and we kind of get something important in this episode with Ryan, in that we find out what happened with his mom.
Yes.
We find out that apparently she had a rather severe heart attack in the kitchen. And Ryan apparently was only all of 13 when it happened.
Mm-hmm.
Which obviously is going to affect you.
Yes, absolutely.
And so what did you think of that revelation?
I thought it was nice. I am ready for Yaz to get a little bit of screen time and some backstory.
Yeah.
And it looks like next week's episode may be partially of that. But I'm not going to...
We got a lot with Yaz's family in the previous episode, Arachnids in the UK, but the next episode, which we'll talk about here at the end of the show, seems to be really diving back into her family history.
Yeah. So I liked, I think they haven't spent a lot of time about Ryan's disability.
Yes.
His condition. And
that's
I
kind
guess
of fallen by the wayside a little bit.
And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't want it to be all about that, but it does seem you made a big deal about setting it up, and now you haven't done much with it at all. Yeah. But I thought, like I said, this was a very decent subplot. And if you have a three-legged stool, the Pating, the doctor, the risk to the ship, the man having the baby were solid legs. It was just the general and the relationship with her brother and the android, I think, was the weak part of the storylines. Yeah.
And it was kind of interesting, I thought, coming from my background, because I'm adopted, I noticed this right away, that with Yas originally talking about giving up his baby, that he didn't want it, and then obviously once he gave birth, and because of Ryan talking to him and whatnot, and that he realized that yes, he did want his child, and obviously changed his mind and named him Avocado Pear, of all things.
Yes. And then they're like, Ryan Graham. Oh, he'd be mocked.
That would be very embarrassing, apparently, in the 67th century, as we're told that this is.
Yeah.
So. All right.
And I do think, I don't have the quote directly, but as a parent, I will tell you the line of, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be there, or something similar to that.
I think you're pretty close with that, because that was Ryan's advice to Yas.
And I got to tell you, that's it. I mean, that is that made me smile, that made Linda smile, and I think that's a good point. I've met your parents; they're absolutely wonderful.
Yes.
And
thank you. My parents, Ma and Pa Kent.
Yes.
For anyone who's actually met my parents, Harold and Wilma Skaggs. Yes.
Yeah. But but the big thing as a mom and dad, they're there, and and I think that's I thought that was good advice and a really good scene.
Yeah, I was very blessed that to have them as long as I have, and now that they're in their 80s, obviously it's I'm just grateful for every day.
Absolutely.
So very appreciative. All right.
Okay.
I don't want to dwell on that too much because I know that's just you guys don't care about that. But anything else about this episode before we move on to our favorite quotes?
Nope. I like I said, it was a perfectly adequate episode.
Yeah. I agree. All right. Do you have any favorite lines?
A couple.
Okay.
But when I love when the computer ends and it says condensed advice, never engage with the Bating, risk the life, ultimate. And the doctor, on the plus side, I now feel very well informed.
That's good. I didn't catch that one. That's a good one.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Now, I think Graham had the line of the episode.
Okay. With
this one line that he delivers to Ryan, where Graham admits that he watched Call the Midwife.
Yes.
Which is obviously a show about a midwife, and it's a UK series, and my wife Lori has watched that show, by the way. And so Graham tells Ryan, he says, "While you've been mucking about on YouTube, I've been learning useful life skills." And I just thought that was brilliant.
I did. I love that. The other thing that was just kind of, it reminds you that we're in a alien society, is when the computer goes, item 7 alpha cubed, pating. And the doctor says, pating? Computer, pating, threat level chalice. And Ryan, is that bad? And Mumbai, worst one up from beetroot. And it's like, what? Because it wouldn't be, green, yellow, green, yellow, red, or, it's just...
Well, they're just going to call it something else, but it's 67th century. That's like...
Exactly.
Let's do the math here. Okay, that's like 46 centuries from now.
Yeah, exactly.
So 4,600 years from now. So, yeah. All right. Now I did like this one line to from the doctor to Mabley, where she's asked if she's a doctor of medicine.
I had that one. Go ahead. Yes.
Oh, do you want to go ahead and do that one? Go ahead.
I love that. I'm a medic. I'm the doctor. And Mabley does say, a doctor of medicine? The doctor, well, medicine, science, engineering, candy floss, Lego, philosophy, music, problems, people, hope. Mostly hope.
Yep.
Gets me right there.
Yep. Because Jesse Jackson is all about hope.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the main things I love about you all these years.
Thank you, Charles.
That you're mostly about hope.
Absolutely.
And this is why you're one of my closest friends. All
Absolutely.
Right. All right, I'm going to give a different doctor quote then.
Okay.
Where she views the particle accelerator and is geeking hard about that. So the doctor says, the particle accelerator smashes the atoms together like a little antimatter factory to produce positrons, which are then stored very carefully inside electric and magnetic fields. The positrons interact with the fuel materials to produce heat, which produces thrust. It's beautiful. Antimatter powering the movement of matter, bringing positrons into existence to move other forms of life across space. I love it, conceptually and actually.
Yeah, that was really good. Yeah. So I did not have a quote ready for the end, so let's save the prayer for our closing quote.
Oh, okay. I've got that if you need it.
Yeah. So why don't I'll let you close this out this time? Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. As we.
Boy, that's good. Boy, that's gonna throw me off because usually I'm the just quote. Okay.
Yeah. Well, as we edit on the fly. All right. So do you have a rating?
Yes, I do. I give it. This is, like you said, it's an average episode, so I give it 7.5 sonic mines.
Yeah, I gave it. I was gonna go 8, but I think 7.5. Chewed. I
talked you down.
Yeah, chewed sonic screwdrivers.
Nice.
Is because it's certainly not a bad episode.
No, seven and a half is perfectly adequate.
Yes. It isn't, Gods and Monsters or whatever.
Love and Monsters.
Love and Monsters, yes, absolutely.
Yeah. I'd say it's a step up from Love and Monsters, personally.
Absolutely, yes.
All right. Okay. I know some people are like, oh no, is this like the worst Doctor Who episode ever? No, it's not the worst Doctor Who episode. Calm down, everybody.
Absolutely.
It's not. Let's just get off that ledge right now. It's not the worst Doctor Who episode.
Absolutely.
By a long stretch. Go watch The Twin Dilemma. Go watch Love and Monsters.
Yes.
The bar is much, much lower.
Absolutely.
Time in the Ronnie. Go watch that.
Yeah.
All right. Now, obviously, because we're trying to rush here, Jesse's got some Cowboys football to watch.
Yes, we do.
So I'm going to hurry. I'm just going to rush through this reverse the polarity.
Very good.
Just recommend that everybody check out the episode New Earth if you're a fan of the Tsuranga Conundrum. This was the first episode of Series 2 in 2006, written by Russell T. Davies, where we had the 10th Doctor taking Rose to the farthest point he's ever taken her, the year 5,023,000 in the M87 galaxy. And apparently humanity settled on this planet named New Earth, and the Doctor is summoned to Ward 26, where he meets up with the Face of Bo, and then they find out that, oh, hey, Lady Cassandra from The End of the World is back, and then also there happens to be an outbreak of zombie-like patients, and ultimately Cassandra ends up kind of dying, and Rose, after taking over the Doctor and Rose's bodies, various points, and it's a pretty fun episode. So I recommend checking that one out.
Absolutely. All
right.
Cool.
Hope I got through that quick enough.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Do we have any feedback?
We do, and we have we've got 4 emails, believe it or not.
All right. I am on my laptop, so I have access to nothing. So please.
You have access to nothing. All right.
Yeah.
All right. So the first, we have a new person writing in, Isaac from Michigan.
Yay!
So
Welcome, Isaac.
Isaac, yeah, he says, his first email says, I just started listening to your show and just started watching Doctor Who again. So, all right.
Yay,
Cheers.
good.
Good for you. I watched a little of Eccleston and Tennant before this, but that's about it. I am generally wary of shows made ostensibly for entertainment purposes, injecting politics into them.
Okay.
I usually find that they do it poorly, and in parentheses it says present strawman arguments and logical fallacies, etc. Add to the fact that I am politically conservative, and I have pretty much given up any hope of being agreed with by mainstream TV. I say all of that to say this. I was ready to hate this, but they won me over. Jodie is excellent. Well done, you. Well done, Isaac.
Yeah, very good, Isaac.
Yep. The, quote, issues discussed have, in my opinion, been discussed fairly, and it's been so much fun. I am really enjoying your show and will continue to tune in. Thank you and God bless. Isaac in Michigan.
Well, Isaac, thank you so much. That as Charles knows, I had a rough day.
Yes.
And Charles actually offered to reschedule, and I said, no, talking about Doctor Who will make me happy. That letter, if I was not already happy, would have made my day. Right. I appreciate the fact we love all these different fans, whether you're a longtime fan or a fairly new fan, conservative, liberal, it doesn't matter. And I agree with you. Jodie is just so much fun. Yeah.
Doctor Who should be the uniting force that brings all of us together, everybody.
Amen.
And we could definitely use a lot of uniting forces right now. So,
absolutely.
In 2018. Now, Isaac wrote in again.
Oh, nice.
In an email titled "The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly," where he I guess reviews arachnids in the UK.
Okay.
So keep that in mind.
Okay.
And he says, "Hey guys, I finished the Doctor Who episode for this week, and I really liked it. I absolutely loved the last 2.5 minutes when the Doctor was discussing risks with her friends, and they still wanted to go. That was great. The episode idea was good. I hate spiders too, and it kind of creeped me out for a bit, but that's okay. The team building relationships, forming subplots are well handled. All of that was pretty good. I don't understand the showrunner's seeming obsession with American politics, but maybe I'm missing something. Now, as an aside here, I don't see there's an obsession with American politics. We had one episode set in racist 1955 Montgomery, Alabama, and we had a parody of Trump, Donald Trump. So, two things really.
Yeah.
Apart from just normal social commentary, I'm not really seeing the obsession here.
Yeah, and I'd be interested from Isaac if he wants to email us and see where he's seeing others. And yeah, I agree. Now, I am very. If you are a Trump admirer, I could see how Chris North's performance may bother you.
Right.
I think they were doing more of a parody of the evil businessman.
Right.
And I thought he played it just perfect.
Right.
But yeah, well, good. Continue on.
All right. So yeah, let me just wrap it. Now he says, now we come to the bad.
Okay.
So he says that hotel guy was supposed to be Trump, right? I'm not a massive fan of the guy, but I don't think he's evil, which is what they beat you over the head with in this episode. I kind of want an escape from politics right now, and I hope that this, quote, political commentary, unquote, goes away quickly. So that's it. Love most of it and could really do without the ham-fisted commentary. What did you think? Again, I'm loving the show. Keep being awesome. Isaac in Michigan.
Thanks, Isaac. I think one of the things, and you've talked about, you've watched a little bit of Eccleston and a little bit of Tennant. Yes. One of the things that I think you will find is that the Doctor Who, and Charles will speak up and either echo or say, no, you're wrong, Jesse, is...
No, I'd never say that.
They are often the short-sighted business that is not worried about the environment or not worried about the consequences of his actions is a common theme of being a villain. And the idea is that the true evil is man itself when it performs less than where it should compared to the bug-eyed monsters out in space. So I don't think this is new, and I don't think it has anything to do with the Trump administration. I think that is something that many science fiction shows, not just Doctor Who, often is a staple. And so that's why I just pictured this as another example of a businessman not worrying about the consequences. What do you think?
Well, personally, I did see this as a Trump parody.
Okay.
Now, a lot of the things that they stated in Anarchy in the UK was that, that the character, he built hotels on landfills and was abusive to his staff and whatnot. Those are established facts about Donald Trump, whether you like them or not.
Okay.
They're facts, especially the bit with landfills. You can look that up. You just type in Donald Trump landfill, and it should come right up. But here it's viewed, and I guess this is probably open to interpretation, but here it's viewed through the lens of parody.
Yeah.
And the character was expressly stated as someone who hates Donald Trump. So he's not
right.
He's just has a lot of the characteristics of Donald Trump in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Or, as you said, Jesse, any corporate businessman that essentially exploits resources, people, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Doctor Who, throughout its history, and it's been around 55 years now almost, has been political throughout the entire show, off and on. We've talked about this, that during the John Pertwee era, you had the more liberal doctor, kind of morally facing off against the military. You've had various doctors talking about their opposition to guns. And here, I think it's, as far as this character, Chris Noth's character, it's up to you to kind of determine whether he's evil or not. And if you think the character is evil, it's not necessarily a statement that Donald Trump is evil, because obviously a lot of different people view that differently.
Right.
And I'm trying, and, I was trying to give some thought to this over the weekend as I read this email. And, it's some people view Donald Trump as evil, whether you like that or not. Some people viewed Barack Obama as evil.
Yeah.
So it's just different people have different beliefs.
Yeah.
Now, whether you agree with them or not, that's up to you. But Doctor Who is presenting it in the context of like, hey, there's this guy who does some pretty despicable things, like lie to people, treat people badly, etc. And we're going to make fun of that a little bit because, hey, he's a public figure and it's very topical.
Yeah.
So if I recommend not taking it personally, because it's not intended to be this condemnation or what have you. But again, that's up to your opinion. And we obviously respect your opinion.
Yeah.
And hope you respect ours in return. Yeah. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Yeah, and I really appreciate the email. What else we got?
All right. So, sorry for getting a little heavy there, but
no, you're good.
Yeah. So if you want to escape from politics, Isaac, maybe bringing up the topics is not the best idea to do that.
Well, and I'm trying to remember, as I delay us now, there's an episode where there was, one of the subplots is the miners.
Yeah.
It's one of the episodes we've watched, and it's a fairly well-known episode, right?
Right.
Yeah, I want to say the Green Death or something.
The Green Death. Yeah, that was kind of a notable one during the John Pertwee era.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's been throughout history. I mean, you had some political stuff in the David Tennant era.
Mm-hmm.
With various business type characters, and all right. It's one of those things that if it offends you that much, and it really shouldn't.
Right.
It's a science fiction show. I would hope it wouldn't anyway. So it's a personal opinion. So
yep. All right.
All right. So let's move on to Holly from Wisconsin, who writes in about the Tsuranga Conundrum. She says, "This was an interesting episode. I have to say I did enjoy it. The T'Ping was an interesting creature, to say the least. He kind of reminded me of a certain blue Disney alien that loves Elvis music and has a bit of an attitude."
Very nice.
Like Stitch.
Yes.
The Dr. Sonic made it out unscathed. Love the scenes between Yas and Ryan and Graham. Not much else to say. I'll wrap it up here. Holly from Wisconsin.
As always, thank you.
Yep, very short and sweet from Holly.
Yes.
So, Holly, thank you again for writing in. We always appreciate it. And Paul from Australia writes in about the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Yay.
Hi, Jesse, Karen, and Charles. Sorry, Karen's not here today, but hopefully she'll be back with us next week. Fingers crossed, everybody. Not too sure what to say about this episode. After watching with my wife, Linda, with a Y, we both turned to each other to discuss what we had just watched. And I think our little consensus was that we were both feeling a little underwhelmed by this story. That's perfectly okay. We both enjoyed certain bits of the episode, and again, still loving Team TARDIS, especially the dialogue between Yaz and Ryan about what happened to his mom.
Yes.
And Ryan and Graham helping with the birth of Avocado.
Yeah.
But for the threat of the little alien Pating, he reminded me of Nibbler from Futurama just a bit. And that's
nice.
Because Nibbler could definitely eat.
Yes.
And so could Stitch. And Stitch was a bit of a little blue alien of destruction, just like the Pating. Something I really enjoy about these episodes is how the companions really take everything they're encountering, no matter how dangerous, in their stride. And as for Jodie, she is really giving it all she's got.
Yeah.
Linda and I just love her.
Yeah.
She's fast becoming one of the best, if not, and I'm going out on a limb here, the best. Ooh, bold statement.
That is a bold statement, and you know,
he's laying it down. He's putting it out there. So good for you, Paul, for putting it out there like that.
You know, one of the things you fight, the tendency is, and I hear this a lot when on the sports station after a really classic, you know, playoff game or a basketball game, something like, oh, that's the best, and it's because it's the most recent. Though I do agree, she's really good.
Yes,
you know,
she is.
yeah, and I think it is definitely been great to see her.
I didn't expect her to be as much of a natural as the Doctor.
Yeah.
Than she is, because she is a natural at it.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah,
We've been very, very lucky with casting as the Doctor. So,
I totally agree.
all right. He just finishes up here. We'll be curious to hear what you all think. Best wishes always, Paul. P.S. am looking forward to the next episode with Yaz and her grandmother's mysterious past.
Ooh, yes, indeed.
Ooh. And so obviously that sets us up perfectly once again, Paul, because next time on Next Stop Everywhere, we're going to talk about Demons of the Punjab, the 6th episode, because now we're in the back half of Series 11, already on the heading toward the home stretch. We've rounded the turn and heading for home. And so we'll be talking about Demons of the Punjab next week, hopefully with Karen. But if you want to be like Isaac in Michigan, or Paul from Australia, or Holly from Wisconsin, if you want to reach us here at Next Stop Everywhere, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us at nextstopeverywheresmg@gmail.com. That's nextstopeverywheresmg@gmail.com. Or you can reach us on the Twitter machine at nextstopsmg on Twitter. Don't forget the SMG, everybody. Facebook at Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. And now you can reach us at Next Stop Everywhere podcast on Instagram.
Ooh, we're gramming, baby.
Yeah, we are. We're doing the Insta. And just like all the kids these days. And we throw up some bonus content, some little teaser trailer things for Next Stop Everywhere that we're doing. So if you're on Instagram, please like us there and follow us. We definitely appreciate it. Or on Twitter and Facebook, we definitely appreciate that as well. Or on Apple Podcasts, where we'd love for you guys, if you're so generous, to leave us a review and rate us and let us know what you think about the show.
Absolutely.
Hopefully you're enjoying it.
Yes.
And Jesse, where can they reach you on the interwebs?
I can be reached at Jesse Jackson DFW on Twitter.
Mm-hmm.
I am also on Facebook, Jesse Jackson, Louisville, Texas. You can hear me talk about music and Bruce Springsteen on Set Lusting Bruce. And you can hear me talk about the DC Universe Titans series with a certain host they may recognize. That's right.
Me.
Yes, yeah. Charles and I.
Yeah, we do on Titan Talk, the Titans podcast.
Yes. And so, Charles, how about you? Where can you be reached?
Well, in addition to the aforementioned Titan Talk, the Titans podcast that I do with you, Jesse, you can reach me on the Twitter machine at Charles Skaggs, or on Instagram as well at Charles Skaggs, Facebook and Charles Skaggs in Hilliard, Ohio, or my blog of geeky things. And I can't believe I don't have this already set up. I'm an idiot. There you go.
Damn good coffee. And hot.
All right. Nice recovery. Damn good coffee and hot, where I talk about all the shows we talk about here. Doctor Who, Torchwood, the Sarah Jane Adventures, or any kind of comic book, sci-fi, movie news, and news of my other podcasts they do for Southgate Media, including Titan Talk, the Titans podcast, or the Phantom Zone podcast they do with Karen Lindsay. Hopefully she's feeling better, so we can do more of those. And Ghostwood, the Twin Peaks podcast, which I do with Zan Sprouse, where we talk about all things Twin Peaks, David Lynch, etc., etc. So please check me out there if you're not already, and I would definitely appreciate that. And hope you enjoy my other work for Southgate Media.
Absolutely.
All right. So, Jesse, I guess I'm doing the closing quote this week.
Yes, you are. I really thought this was well done. My only nitpick is, why does everyone know this? But we're going to let that go, right?
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right. So this is Ronan's quote from this episode, where he gives a little prayer at the end, and everybody seems to join in, including the Doctor. So Ronan says, "May the saints of all the stars and constellations bring you hope, as they guide you out of the dark and into the light, on this voyage and the next, and all the journeys still to come, for now and evermore."
I just love that.
Wasn't it good?
That was really, really well done.
All right.
Yes.
So everybody, thank you again for listening to Next Stop Everywhere. We always appreciate you guys. And come back. We're going to talk about Demons of the Punjab as we go to 1947 India or Pakistan. Who knows? One of those two. And we will see you next time right here on Next Stop Everywhere, the Doctor Who podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
So what did you think about that?
I didn't know
If
him
you're
well
still
enough
there.
to. Yeah, Can you not hear me?
Are you not there anymore?
I can hear you, but you can't hear me.
We're not doing too
Skype.
well today, are we?
Yeah.
All right.
I can. Let's see. Let's try now. Hey, can you?
Okay, there we go. All right.
Yeah, I could.
You're back.
Yeah, I could hear you
Yeah,
all
I
the
lost-
time.
Okay, but you couldn't hear me, or I couldn't hear you.
Yeah.
So you may need to edit that out.
Yeah, I will. So
Okay.